Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your June 2018 general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today and welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for your likes, share, subscribes, and all your support, feedback, and comments. You guys are brilliant. Keep them coming. I appreciate it so much. And always a big thank you to all of my clients out there, both regular and new, for keeping me so busy with personal readings. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. And as most of you know who follow me regularly, if you're interested in a personal reading with me, you can get more information in my contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage and clicking on that little About button, or looking at the description bar of all the videos I post. Turnaround time for personal readings is usually pretty fast, almost always within a couple of days, sometimes a little quicker, it just depends on the schedule. But almost always within a 2-week period of time we can set up a reading for you, live or recorded. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do, which is why I can usually schedule a reading with you in a pretty timely period of time. I do love and romance, career, work and finance, compatibility charting, reconciliation spreads, 6 and 12-month overviews, which look at everything coming in your life over the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how far ahead you want to look. I do channeled messages from deceased loved ones, and also gift readings if you want to give someone the gift of a personal reading. So you can email me at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. You will usually hear back from me with initial information within the same day or the first 24 hours of contact. So send me an email and we will go from there. Watch your rising and your moon sign videos for additional clarification and insight. Sometimes they play out a little more predictively for you because these are general readings. The specifics and details, of course, are always going to vary. The energy and advice almost always remains the same, though. So let's move into this. This reading is for the earth sign of Taurus, our lovely bulls, our Taurians. Let us see what the month of June 2018 has in store for you. Also, for those of you who just want a really quick answer to a quick, easy question, I forgot to mention this. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. That's also with my contact details. I'm feeling a real sense of victory for Tauruses or something. All right, Taurus, let's see. We begin with the 5 of Wands, followed by the 3 of Wands. We have the Star, followed by the 4 of Wands. We have Strength, followed by the 9 of Swords. And the 6 of Wands, there's your victory at the end of the month, followed by the 9 of Pentacles. Powerful. From the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the 10 of Wands. Sorry, Taurus, I was just sorting through the messages I was getting. You have, Taurus, an abundance of wand cards in your spread. Let's see, we have 9 cards here, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wand cards, 1 pentacles, 1 sword, and 2 major arcana cards. Beautiful major arcana cards too, the Star and Strength. Wands in the tarot is governed by the element of fire. Fire energy is the energy of creation. It's powerful. It's dynamic, passionate, energetic, enthusiastic, artistic, creative. It's change, movement, action, power. It's very forward moving and action oriented, and can often manifest in areas like career, projects, artistic, creative endeavors, you know, your career path. And I feel like for a lot of you, there's a strong focus in the area of your life. For some of you, it's going to be your job, career path, or some other project or something you're working on. But of course, in general readings, the details can vary. The energy remains the same, but the details can vary, like types of relationship or types of projects, etc. Something is definitely cycling down to an end this month. Your overall energy, your crowning card from the bottom of the deck representing overall energy, focus, and guidance is the 10 of Wands. 10s represent completion in the tarot, something culminating, coming to an end, needing to come to an end. As you can see, the Ten of Wands represents a heavy burden that's coming to an end. You can see that his head up and he's looking at his destination. He's almost there. He's getting ready to lay this burden down so he can stand up and take a deep breath. And I always feel like this is a long-standing energy too. Like, this didn't start out with 10 wands. Whatever this represents in your life, Taurus, I always feel like the 10 of wands started off with 1 wand, 2 wands, 5 wands, 6 wands, and over time gradually became 10 wands. You know, it can represent an actual challenge or cross that you've had to bear, or it can represent something that, you know, like a project or a job or something that started off one way and over time has become very heavy and burdensome. It's a card that can show up sometimes when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, but it's definitely something's coming to an end, and that's your overall focus and guidance. It looks like there is, and also that it needs to come to an end. So for those of you that may be struggling with a decision about whether or not to bring something to an end, it definitely looks like it needs to come to an end. You need to lay this burden down. Or it's coming to a culmination, an achievement point where you can move on to something else. And I feel like for some of you, this has been a conflict with a group of people, maybe in a project or at work or something of some kind too, which is basically what we open the month with, or end May, beginning of June with. We have the 5 of Wands and the 3 of Wands. So lots of fire energy here. The 5 of Wands is a card of conflict. It can represent internal or external conflict. It's petty conflict though. It often has I often get a nitpicky little kind of barracuda energy off of this. These men, you can see, they're sparring, they're practicing. They're not using real weapons, they're using practice weapons. They're not out to kill each other for blood. It can represent conflict, competition, you know, it can represent a circular conflict, basically, whether it's within a group of people, maybe at work or on a project or a community thing. It could be within your own family circle as well, like family dynamics. It usually represents an ongoing conflict for which nobody wants to give 1 inch, and so there's never really any resolution. I mean, nobody's really out to kill each other. It's not Tower card energy here, but it's the same old argument over and over again. Nobody winning, nobody losing, but no clear resolution or answer to it. Can represent, you know, gossip, rumor mongering, you know, petty conflict energy. It can also represent internal conflict too, going on and on and on. Now it's clarified by the 3 of Wands, which is a very positive card. It's a card about a hopeful future. You've laid the groundwork. We're still pretty early on in the path here. We're only at the 3. But you know what the goals are, you know what you want, you've laid the groundwork, you've done the footwork, laid the foundation, and now you're waiting to see what your results are bringing in on this ship. And it's generally a very positive card. It's also a card that can represent, you know, small achievements on the road to accomplishing something bigger, but it's definitely about waiting for positive outcomes for the future of something. So it looks like, Taurus, that there's some, you know, some conflict with another person or a group of people on how something's moving forward. It could be perhaps on whether or not the foundation you've laid or the groundwork, the footwork that you've done so far is going to pan out. It could be that you're waiting for something to come in and just going through a lot of internal and maybe external conflict with other people about it. Or the conflict could be about how to move something forward in a positive way, or how long you should wait for results of something. And again, I feel a strong connection with this 5 of Wands, this conflict card, to this 10 of Wands. I feel like whatever this conflict is, it's not a new one. It may be a different version, but it's kind of a conflict or an argument or discord that's been going on for a time, and it's about how to move something forward in the future. Again, I get this connection to either in your job, career place. Some of you, I feel like it's maybe with a community project. You may be working with other people on something, how to accomplish something. I'm getting nonprofit something or other for some of you. Some of you, this may be within your family circle. You may be getting ready to do something. We've got the 4 of Wands here, which is often a celebratory card about the future, and it's a card that can represent marriages, weddings, anniversaries, moving in together, celebratory energy that has a strong connection to family and friends. I mean, some of you, it is, you know, we are going into June, July. A lot of people get married in June, July, summer months. June is like the traditional wedding month. Some of you may be getting married this month, and some of this conflict and stuff, maybe you've been maybe you've been planning it for a long time, and there's just like lots of details involved, and people can't agree, and there's in-laws and family, and you know, maybe you can't get the flowers or the dress you want in the right time. I mean, you know, that can always be a lot of chaos and discord. Remember, you know, try and bring it back down to basics. Everything's going to work out fine, better than fine, actually, for those of you that are dealing with that. Others of you, it's some other kind of project or career thing, connection there. But it's interesting because next we have the Star and the Four of Wands. And like I'm fond of saying, and other tarot readers are too, no tarot card is a standalone. I mean, you just can't read that way. It's heavily influenced, multiple meanings and layers of the intensity of the meaning of the cards, and they're strongly affected by the cards around them. It's like people in a family. So, and I'm looking at the Star card, which is a card of renewed hope, faith, and optimism. It's usually a card that shows up after a period of struggle or challenge or darkness. It's kind of, you know, if you've been sick for a long time, this represents finally getting better. If you've been depressed or had a bad breakup or just been through a challenging time, the Star represents something occurring where you just kind of, you just have a renewed sense of hope, faith, and optimism. Winter into spring, darkness into light, sickness into health kind of feeling. It's one of the wish fulfillment cards too, and it represents having an almost childlike faith and confidence in God, Spirit, your angels and guides, in divine timing and orchestration, that the path you're on is indeed the right one. Do the work that's in front of you to do. Spirit will meet and match you every step of the way because it leads to your joy and fulfillment. That's why this woman is emptying her pitchers of water out into this body of water that she's kneeling in. She's emptying them completely out in perfect faith and confidence that when she needs her pitchers restored, they will be restored because the source itself is limitless. She has that much faith and confidence, that connection to, you know, to Spirit. She knows that everything is a matter of divine timing and orchestration as she walks in faith and confidence. Renewed hope, faith, and confidence. And it's right next to the conflict card, this Five of Wands, you know. All will be well, Taurus. So the Star is clarified by the Four of Wands. Strong celebratory energy. Marriage, weddings, anniversaries, graduations. You know, there's probably a lot of graduations this month as well. Getting a strong marriage vibe off this. Can be moving in together. It's a card about celebratory energy with friends and family. It can speak of that anticipatory energy when you're getting ready for something, you know, to celebrate something. And there's this kind of undercurrent of excitement in the air. And it also reminds us to reconnect with the simple joy and gratitude check of the people that we care about in our life, friends and family, and reconnecting with that, the simple joys of sharing our lives with those people and being with those people and celebrating these joys and these celebrations, whether they're really formal ones or casual ones. And that Four of Wands is right next to the Three of Wands, which is about building, waiting for an outcome, building a hopeful future. You're in the process of building towards a hopeful future. So definitely, whether it's career, some other kind of project, you're getting married, you're graduating and moving on to something else, you know, you're celebrating something, and there's a sense of renewed hope, faith, and optimism. And I think a lot of this conflict energy gets resolved with this combination of the Star and the Four of Wands, maybe the second week, around the middle of the month or so. Time is always kind of fluid, as I say. And you do have fears and doubts and anxieties and insecurities. It looks like a lot of you may struggle with that around the middle or the third week or so. But it's all about walking through those, having strength. Because next we have strength clarified by the Nine of Swords. I don't like the Nine of Swords. You know, the one positive aspect of the Nine of Swords is the hopeful message in the Nine of Swords is that this is mostly illusionary energy. Remember that tens are completion, so nines represent a pretty high degree of something. This is stress, anxiety, worry. This woman is staying up late. You can see the moon has risen fairly high in the sky, so it sort of implies too that you know, it's quite late, or maybe the wee hours of the morning, but everybody else is probably asleep, but she's not. Why? She's sitting up in bed. She's hunched over in this kind of defensive, protective gesture. She's obviously worried, stressed, filled with anxiety, fear about something. And it's maybe interfering with her sleep, interfering in your sleep, Taurus, interfering with, you know, your day-to-day activities. There's just worry, fear, anxiety, stress. This little owl sitting on the window, it's very close to her. She could just about reach out and touch it. She's not, because she's not even looking at it. She's completely focused on whatever the source of her fears, anxiety, and worries. Now, everything in a tarot card is symbolic. Owls are one of those universal symbols of an answer, enlightenment, wisdom, illumination, insight, intuition. A solution is right there, almost right in front of you, but you may not be seeing it because of your worry, anxiety, fear. I often see, now when I say that the energy of the Nine of Swords is mostly illusionary, that's the positive aspect of this card. Now, the source of your fears, anxieties, insecurities, or worries may be entirely valid, Taurus, but the Nine of Swords shows up usually when someone is in fear to an extreme that's completely unnecessary. You're overthinking something. It's usually a card that shows up when you have fear of the future. Oh, what do I do if this happens? What do I do if this doesn't happen? It hasn't even happened yet. The Nine of Swords represents building something up in your head to be, you know, bigger and badder and much worse than is actually reflected in the reality of the situation. It's not all of that. There's an answer, wisdom, insight, solution right there in front of you if you pull back some of this energy. What do we need to do that? We need strength. Strength, wisdom, humility, courage. The true definition of humility is seeing ourselves completely honestly, knowing exactly who we are, who we're not, and moving forward into that, wrestling with our demons, maybe facing aspects of ourselves or character traits that we don't necessarily like, and having the courage to face whatever we're afraid of, walk into that fear, through that fear, deal with it to the best of our abilities, wrestle with our demons, symbolized by this lion, which can be our insecurities, our doubts, our fears, our worries. Walk into them. Don't, toss this energy out and manifest this energy. And it takes strength to do that. It takes strength and humility and courage and wisdom, the inner kind, but it's also what you gain by moving through this. And on the other side, as this woman has, you can see that she has made her changes and she has accepted what's left. She's completely embraced that. She's tamed this lion with a softer, gentle, loving, accepting, moving through these fears, and now she is moving forward into her future courageously. She is in motion. You can tell by the flow of her hair and her dress that she is in motion. It takes a lot of strength to face our fears, our doubts, and insecurities. Not sit in them and dwell on them and allow them to kind of paralyze us, but to actually face them, be realistic about them. What's the problem? Here's the solution. Let's move through it. I can only do what I can do, and moving through that and getting beyond that. So that's energy around the middle of the month, the third week of the month. Beautiful, gorgeous, powerful energy. And then at the end of the month, Taurus, what a magnificent combination of cards you have. We have the Six of Wands. Look at that. Victory and triumph after a struggle. Also a card of public recognition for some of you. Clarified by the Nine of Pentacles. Independence, self-sufficiency, self-reliance. Victory and triumph after a struggle. This man went off to do something. Accomplish something not easy, because the Six of Wands represents a significant victory. This isn't, I stayed on my diet today. Well, it might be a significant victory for some people, but it's a significant victory. He went off to do something, slay a dragon, rescue a princess, get married, try and get a bunch of people on board with a project. Whatever this is for you, Taurus, victory and triumph after a struggle can also represent public recognition as well. Some of you may be at or towards the end of June 2018, you may be being publicly recognized for your efforts, your success in a project of some kind. If you guys are getting married, it could represent that ceremony. It could represent raises, promotions, moving forward. Again, public recognition, maybe receiving awards or bonuses or something of that kind, particularly those of you for whom this has something to do with a project or a career. Some of you, it's just a flat-out celebration, like wedding, anniversary, graduation. It could be that for some of you as well. And moving forward in a very powerful, self-sufficient way. I mean, remember we had this Nine of Swords, but right next to it is this Nine of Pentacles. Completely different energy. Nine of Pentacles, self-sufficiency, self-reliance, self-empowerment. She doesn't need anything from anybody else. She has worked very hard to build up a good, solid, stable foundation for herself, and she's enjoying that now. She's enjoying the fruit of her labors, all her hard work, her skills, everything that around her which symbolizes maybe wealth or prosperity or abundance or stability. It's an energy of loving who you are, where you're going, whether you're by yourself or with somebody else. I've heard this sometimes referred to as the happy, single, successful female or male card. It could be. Whether she's single or not doesn't really matter. If she is, great. If she's not, great. If she wants to be with somebody and she's not, then she will. But she'll take her time, or he'll take, she or he will take their time, because they're not doing it out of a compulsory need, because the foundation they're standing on, they've worked hard for themselves. And they're not dependent necessarily on other people. Self-sufficiency, self-empowerment, self-reliance. It's a powerful energy, especially clarifying the Six of Wands. Some of you it may be graduating and moving out. You may be moving on in a career or a job path in some way. You've definitely worked very hard to get to where you're at, and it's really paying off at or towards the end of the month. And for those of you for whom this is kind of around family and friends and a celebratory energy, like for marriage anniversaries, graduations, etc., you're definitely moving on in a big way, whether it's moving on to a completely new beginning or transitioning in a different direction on an already established path. Whether that's with a partner or, some other kind of situation here. Lots of fire energy this month, lots of energy going on, lots of focus on the future in a really positive, powerful, empowered sort of way, Taurus. Remember not to get yourself too overwhelmed with all of the details and stuff. I just gave the same advice for Cancer. If this is a month where there's a lot going on and there's a lot to accomplish, break it down into bite-sized chunks and just knock things off on the list, and don't really look at it as a whole unless you're delegating to people, because that's when it starts getting overwhelmed and you start feeling like, I can't do this, it's too heavy. So don't do that to yourself this month. It's a beautiful month, and I love how it ends. Also the Four of Wands, that card that shows up around the second week or the middle of the month or so, timing always being fluid, is also the happy surprise card. It usually represents that there's an unexpected blessing or a happy surprise headed your way, and it's not a card of an indeterminate future. When the Four of Wands shows up, that happy surprise or unexpected blessing is showing up within a fairly short period of time, definitely in the month of June. I think for a lot of you somewhere second, third week, something like that, maybe around the middle or so. So you'll have to keep me posted on that. I love to hear what the happy surprises are, if it's not the actual celebratory event. But even with the celebratory event, there's still some kind of unexpected blessing coming your way. And it may be that which gives you that renewed sense of hope, faith, and optimism as well, Taurus. Keep me posted. So Taurus, that pretty much wraps up your June 2018 general readings. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if any of you are interested in a more personal one-on-one reading with me, you can get my contact details, a little more info, by going to my YouTube channel's homepage, clicking on the About button, or looking at the description bar of all the videos I post. Please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you and schedule a personal reading with you, live or recorded, as soon as we can. And for quick answers to the quick, easy questions, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. And that link is also included with my other info. I'll see you all in a couple of weeks, Taurus, for the June mid-month readings. And until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.